and good morning again, fifth grade reading detectives, or afternoon. It's Mrs. Holman again, and we are back to making inferences and drawing conclusions. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And one of the things I want you to think about is just take a minute and think about what did we learn yesterday, but also this is day 3. So what have we learned in the last 2 days? Put your thinking cap on, reading detectives, look at your anchor chart. What's something you've learned? Well, we've learned what an inference and a conclusion is, and we've learned how to go ahead and utilize those when we're reading text and when we're looking at pictures. So that's what I've learned, and hopefully you've learned the same or even something else. So our learning objectives again are that I can make inferences and draw conclusions based on what I already know, background knowledge, and evidence from the text. So remember, if you look at your handy dandy playbook or your anchor chart, you will see that you need both in order to do that, to make that conclusion. And here it is, here's the anchor chart. Hopefully you have it next to you, but we will start every lesson with this anchor chart so that you see it. The more you see it, the more that you will realize, well, the more you will remember it. So I know you think, why are we doing this every day? But it's for your own good. And if we were in our building, Ms. Holman would have this anchor chart hanging up behind me, but it would be hard for you to see that doing it virtually. So I put it on the slide. So make sure you have that with you. All right, so remember we tried to look at the practice activity and we couldn't, but I told you that we were going to go ahead and review it today. So let's go ahead and pull this up right now. And this is the practice activity that you did yesterday. And you were able to look at making inferences in a fictional text. So the hazelnut child, you read about that and you looked at your clues and what you know in your inference, and then you had some questions to answer. So let's go ahead and jump to the questions. So it says, this graphic, so it says, they wished every day for a child, even if he were no bigger than the hazelnut. So that's the evidence from the text. And your inference, this most likely means, what can you infer about the couple who later became the hazelnut child's parents? So when we go to the text, that one particular area, right here at the top, you see they wish every day for a child, even if they were no bigger than a hazelnut. So, and at last their wish was granted, and they had a child who was the size of a hazelnut, just as they said. They loved the child very much and took excellent care of him. So what can you think about them? Right? They're pretty good people. They just wanted a baby. They were pretty happy. So there are a lot of things that you can think about or infer about the couple. It says, write a quote from the story that supports this inference. The hazelnut child was determined to prove that he could accomplish his goal despite his small size. Well, again, let's go back to the text. And it will say, how can you possibly be a messenger? And this is from his mom. Your tiny feet would take an hour to carry you the distance anyone else could cover in a minute. And look at what he says. This is the evidence. Give me a message to carry, said the boy, and see how quickly I can return. What does that mean? Well, just as this person inferred that he is determined, and this is the evidence from the text that will prove that. And the last one, the king was so taken with the hazelnut child that he gave the boy a diamond bigger than himself. What can you infer about the king? So again, right here at the bottom, the king was so taken with the hazelnut child that he gave the boy a diamond bigger than himself. So let's go look at the graphic. Here is the hazelnut child right here. And he gave him a diamond bigger than him. What does that make the king? I'm thinking he's wealthy, right? He's got a diamond that size. He's pretty loaded. So you want to make sure that would be something that you can infer. So then I want you to just look at your answers compared to what I just said, and let's see what our next activity is. All right. So we have been gradually moving, taking steps and making inferences and drawing conclusions through text. And we started with the nonfiction, and then you did fiction for homework, and we're going to move to fiction during the class today. And so our lesson is Battle of the Bots. And we'll be reading through the text and making inferences and drawing conclusions. And we remember what we did yesterday, detectives, because that will help. And as I told you yesterday, make sure you have your pen or pencil, your paper, highlighter, or crayon, because if you can print the text out, do that, and you can highlight it as I've been doing. If you don't, you can actually just take a sheet of paper and make notes as we read, because that will help you go back to the text. As you've seen, I continue to go back to the text or the graphic to go ahead and pull that evidence out and then think about how this relates to my experiences. So let's go ahead and look at our text for the day, Battle of the Bots. So first of all, what do we think that means? Just like we did yesterday, Battle of the Bots. I'm going to highlight that because that is our title, and it makes you think. I think of Transformers, robots, some kind of big epic battle. I think of the movie Transformers, but let's go ahead and read and see where this goes. So Alex set down the screwdriver with a slam. There, we finished it, he said. Alex looked around at his three teammates. The four of them had been working together to build a robot. Okay, so right here, they're building a robot for the last 3 months. Now the robot was complete and they had given it a name, Athena. Okay, so we're going to highlight that because that's her name and this could be important. Battle of the Bots was the state's biggest robot competition and was starting in 2 days. The team had finished just in time. All right, so now we know what Battle of the Bots is. It's a competition. We're going to keep reading. Are you sure, Alyssa asked? Don't you think we could still improve some things? So remember, he said they were almost done, but she wants to keep working. Do you think we should? Let's keep going. No, cried everyone in unison. Alyssa always wanted to keep adding things to the robot. She had come up with some great ideas. The razor defense mechanism had been her suggestion. She had also figured out a way to attach the robot's wheels so it could roll over its opponents. But now there was no time left. They need to stop building and prepare their strategy. So what's this paragraph about? While she wants to add new things, they've said no, but they really give Alyssa some credit. She's given some great ideas to help Athena. So each year the state put on Battle of the Bots. It was a showdown to see which school could build the competition's winning robot. For a full day, the robots faced off an arena. By the end of the day, the arena would be filled with mechanical arms and levers from the defeated robots. The team that built the robot would receive $5,000. So let's see. All right. Alex looked at his group. If they split the prize evenly, that would be $1,250 each. What would everyone else do with that? $1,250. He knew that he would save his for camp that summer. Alyssa would probably use hers to buy more tools. She was always building something. Alex shook himself. It was not the time to be daydreaming about the prize. They still needed to design a strategy so that they could win the competition. So what is this one about? When he looked at the group, this paragraph, what would everyone do with their money? Okay, and he gave some guesses. All right, guys, said Alex, how are we going to beat the Cougars? The Cougars had won the competition for the last 2 years. Last year, their robot, the Destroyer, had won the Battle of the Bots in record time. Large, scissor-like jaws that had chomped down the competition. I have an idea, said Kumar. I've been watching videos from last year's competition. I noticed something. Now we're starting to get our detective hat on. The Cougars use the same strategy every year. Kumar's brother, Arif, nodded and chimed in. The Cougars always build a robot that is big and strong. It wins through force, but usually their robot isn't very fast, Arif exclaimed. So, let's keep reading. Our robot is fast, Alyssa said, so they have a fast robot, Athena, and she's fast. Exactly, Kumar said. We need to use our speed to beat them, and I have a plan for how to do it. Kumar explained his plan to the group, and they began to prepare. So now we are seeing, okay, what are they about to do? 2 days later, the team gathered at Battle of the Bots. Alyssa was chewing on her nails. Alice was so nervous he felt sick. Arif was pacing back and forth. Only Kumar looked calm. So if he's calm, it says everyone else is doing something that would lead you to believe they're nervous. It says Alex was so nervous, but isn't Alyssa? She's chewing her nails. Like, so she's chewing her nails. Don't worry, guys, he said. The plan will work. Athena will win. Let's keep reading. The competition began, and Athena was winning all her battles. The team had designed her for speed, and she was able to outpace her opponent. Several of Alyssa's secret weapon designs proved deadly for the competition. Ooh, deadly for the competition. Okay. The bad news was that the Cougars robot was doing equally well. So that means their designs were doing great. They were beating their opponents. Once again, the Cougars had built an enormous, powerful robot. This year, they called the robot the Avenger. By the end of the day, the Avenger and Athena were the only two robots remaining. So let's stop right here and start making some pulling out some evidence. So it says in here, it says the several of Alyssa's secret weapon designs proved deadly for the competition. So when you have something that proves deadly, that means you know that it is doing its job, right? That's our experience. That's what it says in the text. So you probably can infer that they are beating all of their opponents. And then it actually, the text goes on to let you know that's true as an inference, because the bad news was that the Cougars robot was doing equally well. So we inferred that Athena was doing well, and now we know that the Avenger from the Cougars is also doing well. So we use the text, we use our background knowledge, and there's our inference. Let's keep going. Finalists, could you please come to the main arena and prepare your robot, said the announcer. We will begin the final death match in 5 minutes. Alex and the team walked down to the main arena. Alex could feel his heart pounding. Woo! Athena was half the size of the Avenger. Could their robot really win? So if his heart is pounding and they're starting to think that Athena is so small, what can we infer about how Alex feels? So I'm pounding. It could be nervous. It could be scared. So again, that's the evidence from the text, right? So these are all the pieces from the text and our own background knowledge. So the match began and the two robots moved towards each other. The Avenger lunged for Athena, but the small robot was too quick for him. Athena circled behind the Avenger, and before the larger robot had time to turn, Athena hit the Avenger from behind. There was the harsh sound of metal, cutting metal, and then silence. The Avenger lay on the ground. Athena had cut the wires connecting the body of the robot to its wheels. Not only had they won, but they had won in record time. So we see. So now, again, did your strategy work? It did. Alex, Alyssa, Kumar, and Arif all hugged. Now it's time for the real question. How will they spend the $5,000? So let's go ahead and look at the questions. What is the Battle of the Bot? The place where Alex and his teammates complete Athena, a summer camp, a school that has built a robot, or a robot competition. Well, we go back to the text, and it clearly says it was the state's robot competition, right? So we go down here, and we know that answer, that is the answer. Then what is the climax of the story? And we didn't talk about climax, but climax is the place where you feel like that is the most suspenseful, or like you do not know what's about to happen next. You've built up to this point, and it's, wow, you're trying to figure out where the story is going next. So let's see. Kumar explains his plan. Alyssa asks where some things about Athena could improve. Athena battles against the Avenger in the final death match, or Alex and his teammates finish building Athena. I would say the answer is C. Why? Because when they get to the death match, you don't know what's going to happen. Athena has been winning. The Avenger has been winning. And they come to clash. It says in the story up at the top, it says right here that Alex could feel his heart pounding in his chest. Athena was half the size of the Avenger. Could their robot really win? So they're nervous or fearful. You don't know what's about to happen. All right. And it says, read this paragraph from the story. The match began and the two robots moved towards each other. The Avenger lunged for Athena, but the small robot was too quick for him. Athena circled behind the Avenger, and before the larger robot had time to turn, Athena hit the Avenger from behind. There was the harsh sound of metal cutting metal and then silence. The Avenger lay on the ground, and Athena had cut the wires connecting the body of the robot to its wheels. Not only had they won, but they had won in record time. What can be concluded by these sentences? Athena's speed helps her beat the Avenger. Athena's strength helps her. The Avenger's speed or the Avenger's strength. And we already know from all of the evidence from the text, Athena's speed is what helps. And how do members of Alex's team interact with each other? They keep secrets, they disagree, they ignore each other, or they listen to each other. Again, we know that they listen. And how do we know that they listen to each other? Well, in this paragraph right here, they're having a dialogue. Are you sure, Alyssa says, don't you think we need to improve? No, they're having conversations and they keep moving. So they're always, look, right here. All right, guys, how are we going to beat the Cougars? They're always talking. I have an idea. So rich evidence that our detective hats can find to prove that that is the answer for that. And what's the theme of the story, or what's the story about? Speed can be more important than strength. Winning is more important than teamwork. Strength can be more important, or speed and strength are equally important. We know the answer is speed. Athena is a lot smaller than the Avenger, but she is very fast. And we know that the Avenger is really strong. So who wins though? The Avenger with its strength, or Athena with her speed? Athena. And then you are going to go ahead and read this paragraph. The finalists, could you please come to the main arena and prepare your robots? And the announcer said, we will begin the final death match in 5 minutes. Alex and the team walked down to the main arena. Alex could feel his heart pounding, and Athena was half the size. Could their robot really win? We just talked about this. So what feeling might the author be trying to create in the reader with the last 3 sentences? And this is your inference: anger, confidence, suspense, or fear, right? Could their robot really win? So really, it could be fear or it could be suspense. So I'm going to go ahead and say suspense, but I'm also going to say fear. They're a little bit scared and nervous, but they're also, the suspense is in the reader, they want you to feel some suspense. So let's go back and look. It says, let's look at the question, because Ms. Holman could have made a mistake right here, right? I want to make sure you're paying attention. Let's read this question really well. What feeling might the author be trying to create in the reader? And so who's the reader? Us. So as we're reading, would we be fearful, or would we feel suspense in thinking, oh, what's about to happen next? Well, actually, we would feel suspense, right? So we would have to go ahead and take out the fear right here, because that's not the answer. The fear is what maybe the participants feel, but that's not what we feel. So we would go ahead and stop highlighting that, and our answer would be C for suspense. So really, this is also, when we're reading through text, we want to make sure that we also look at the question. And just like Ms. Holman, I looked at the question and I didn't read it as well, and I read it too fast. I could have picked fear, because we've been talking in the text about how they're feeling. But we've been talking about how the actual people in the text are feeling, not how we as the reader are feeling. So make sure you pay attention. Thank you, reading detectives, for having your reading cap on. We caught that just in time. All right, the Avenger is bigger than Athena. Blank, he is not as fast. So we would just say, however, he is not as fast. All right. And so we would go ahead and answer those questions. So I think we've done enough for you to get to understanding inferences and conclusions in Battle of the Bots. So we're going to go ahead and get out of this and come back to our PowerPoint, and we're just going to do a wrap up with our exit ticket. So I want you to take a minute to read this and pause me, and so pause so you can read and answer this question. All right, thank you for coming back. Hopefully you have answered the question, what can you infer from this passage? Mrs. Johnson walked slowly to her car. It had been a long day. Many of the people she helped today were really unwell. There must be some sort of virus going around. Ms. Johnson's hands were dry because of so much hand washing, and she couldn't wait to get home and change out of her uniform. Her comfortable shoes were feeling less comfortable after such a long day on her feet. So let's think. 1, she's in a uniform. 2, she works with people that are unwell. 3, she is washing her hands so much that her hands are dry. So let's think about our own experiences. Right now, we're in this experience with a global pandemic of COVID-19. And what's the one thing they continue for us to do? Wash our hands, wash our hands. So if Miss Johnson is someone who is working with people who are sick, and she's constantly having to wash her hands, and she's wearing comfortable shoes and a uniform, my inference from my experiences in the text is Miss Johnson is a nurse. Hopefully you got that too. So let's continue. So again, remember our learning target. I can make inferences and draw conclusions based on what I already know. That's our background knowledge and evidence from the text. And here is a little graphic about reading like a detective. So that's why I always talk to you guys about being a detective. We look for clues, we ask questions, we make our case, and we prove it. And what do we prove it with? Our evidence. So we're going to do a quick just look at the practice activity for tomorrow. And for tonight, that is, you're going to look at this nonfiction text features, wild weather, and you're going to look at text features and using this. I want you to read it. You're going to answer some questions, but Ms. Holman is going to have a few inference questions for you as well. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, okay? So detectives, have a great rest of your day. I am so excited to be with you. And don't forget your practice activity. Make sure you bring your anchor chart to class tomorrow, and I will see you soon.